The Stamp Act becomes the second major tax that Parliament is now going to impose. And again, remember, the purpose for these taxes are no different than the goals during the 7 Years' War. Get the colonists to fund the troops that are still defending the frontier, get the colonists to pay for quarters for these troops. It's all about the way you go do it. And also remember, they're actually asking for less money. They're seeking to raise less money on the sugar and stamp tax. The colonists had voluntarily been given when the war. It's not about paying taxes, and it's not about bringing on money. It's about how you pay the taxes and how you have control of it. So the Stamp Act is essentially what they say is that virtually every kind of paper product in colonial America, ranging from official things like marriage licenses and wills, down to even decks of playing cards. But all of those paper products, in order to be legally bought, sold, and obtained and used, will need to have a stamp of the empire, literally a stamp affixed to them to show that they are official and legal. In other words, if you get married and your marriage license doesn't have a stamp, you're not legally married. If you make a will and the will doesn't have a stamp, it's dubious that you can actually leave that, you inherit the property. So how does this raise money? Well, the stamps will be shipped over from Britain to colonial America and will be given to people known as stamp distributors. And then if you're a newspaper publisher who publishes a newspaper, you're a lawyer who needs to have legal paper to write wills on, you're a minister who wants to publish your sermons. In order to do that, you'll have to purchase the stamps from the stamp distributors. And that's where the tax is collected. It's in the buying of the stamps. Now, what you'll do is then you'll presumably charge a higher amount for your service to offset the cost of whatever the stamp. So you'll pass the cost on to the consumer eventually. But the way in which the tax is collected is that when the newspaper editor or the lawyer or the minister buys the stamp, that will be how money will be raised. And this is again going to contribute to these costs of income that they. So note that this is a tax that is going to actually have to be literally sold. Stamps are going to have to be sold by stamp distributors. And in order for it to work, it's going to have to be a stamp distributor in almost every village in colonial America. And in places like Boston, several, or at least more than one. Which means you're going to have hundreds of people, or perhaps even thousands of people, acting as stamp distributors. Now, I suppose you could send over people from Britain to do it, but if you're going to get somebody to come over from Britain to be a stamp distributor, you're going to have to ask them to uproot their lives, sell their house, sell their household goods, move their families. That will cost more than you're going to bring in the stamps. So it's entirely dependent on colonial Americans becoming stamp distributors. And you can't pay them that much to do this. This needs to be a side of it. So what you're looking for is some principal important figure of a village who already has an occupation, already has a livelihood, pull out a little bit extra more. In other words, you're going to ask these people to do something that their neighbors despise and consider a fundamental violation of their liberties, and they're going to have to live with their neighbors forever. Very, very quickly, people learn you don't want to be a stamp distributor. Your life will never be the same. Your neighbors will turn against you. They will probably turn against you violently. They will see you as an agent of their own oppression. Rioting emerges in the summer of 1765. Pamphlets are written denouncing them. And what this shows is that if you're going to try to tax the colonists inside colonial America, in their own communities, that tax is vulnerable and really not possible. The colonists can shut that down by intimidating the people that actually do this. And what's interesting is that the way that then this crisis in the Sugar and Stamp Act is resolved is the Parliament figures this out. They come to understand that while there's a difference, they might not say there's a difference constitutionally or ideologically between external and internal taxes, but there's very much a material difference. And so they repeal the Stamp Act. It just goes away. And never again, after 1766, do they ever try to tax the colonies inside the colonies.